So nice to see you, Magnus, just on a Zoom this time, but next week in the flesh. Tell me about how it all started. Did you have a musical upbringing? What was your household in Glasgow like?
Yeah, it's a pretty musical. I mean, I say almost entire family. By that I mean my entire family are in fact musicians. My dad is the reason we're in Glasgow. My dad is the organist, director of music at the Episcopal Cathedral. Right. So the little one in the West End on Great Western Road, not the big green one.
Right.
So I grew up singing in his choir, actually, along with the RSNO. My mum works for the RSNO as their chorus manager, and they have their junior chorus. So I was kind of flung into both at the age of 6 or 7.
You didn't have any choice but to become a singer, really, did you?
No, not really. They defend themselves in some ways. They tell us that they've told us the whole time, they've suffered as working musicians and should work to try and, get a stable job. And
yeah,
here we are.
They just want to be kept in their old age by a brain surgeon. That's what it amounts to, Magnus.
Yeah, exactly.
But what led you? I mean, obviously, in a way, you were led to singing by the fact that you were singing in your dad's choir from early on. But
yeah.
But still, there's a big gap between doing that and deciding, I want to make this my life's work. When did that happen? How did that happen?
Still quite early on. I mean, I've sung in choirs the entire time. I didn't ever have that point as a kind of teenager where they sort of tell you to stop singing.
Mm.
One of the sort of missions, because my dad also works for the RSNO, and one of his kind of missions there, he looks after what they call the changed voices. So the poor kind of trebles boys from the junior chorus, who sing all the things like Carmina and Marla 3 and stuff. There sort of became an issue with what happens to what do we do with the 13, 14-year-old boys?
Yes.
Because most of the girls don't leave till they're 17, 18.
No.
So they started this new kind of section. So he always wanted to kind of look after changing voices. He says he doesn't like using the word break.
No.
So I'd never stopped singing, but I think for quite a lot of the time I was just sort of going along and singing the RSNO on a Monday and singing at church, choir practice on a Thursday, singing on a Sunday. And there sort of came a point where I sort of thought, kind of what should I do? Once my voice started changing, I actually sang baritone for quite a long time, for about 4 years. And I did actually start losing interest a little bit. And my dad and my singing teacher kind of teamed together, and they showed me some, I can't remember what songs was it. I think it was actually just the Songs of Travel.
Mm.
It was something like the Vaughan Williams, or they started introducing me to art song and stuff. And there was I've never quite sort of clocked what it was, but there's something about the kind of marriage of text and music that even when I was kind of 14 years old fascinated me, and kind of producing that. It was always something that I really enjoyed doing, and it actually changed the way that I was singing in choirs as well. I found that I could engage with it a lot more.
So when did opera come into your life?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I have to blame my older sister for that. My eldest sister, she's a big lover of opera, and it was nothing I'd really sort of come across. And my parents haven't. They were both professional choral singers for a while. My mum used to sing with the Corridon Singers, and my dad was a lay clerk at Wells for a little while.
Sure.
Opera's never really been a part of their careers.
So really. Yeah, you live in Glasgow, so I wondered if you'd been to, done a lot of Scottish opera productions and things.
I didn't do any. Marge did, actually. She sang First Boy in Magic Flute when I was about 5 years old. She was about 13 at the time. And I remember going to that, but we had a box because they sort of gave us a nice ticket, and I think I had some Lego with me or something, so I'd sort of tuned in and out. So good night at the opera. But once I'd started learning all of these songs and started getting interested in, some of the leader and things, she kind of tried hooking me in with Mozart, I think, which I liked. Don Giovanni especially that last trio, the sort of something about the drama of it really got me. But it wasn't until we went to see Tosca at Scottish Opera, I sat there and thought, yeah, No, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Again, it's because it's it's the same thing. The text and music together is a great thing, but when you fling it on stage with a load of people and
bit of lust and violence and torture and death. It's proper opera, isn't it?
Heightened to a completely different level.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you've been studying and still are studying at the Royal Academy in London. Is that you've been there for how long?
That is true. I'm here right now. So this is my 6th year here.
Crikey.
So yeah, it's been a long stint. I was at Gloucester before. I was a choral scholar at the Cathedral as a kind of gap year, and then landed at the Academy and have been perfectly happy here. So it's it's a nice setup, and I've always felt supported, and I've always had interesting projects, and I've always had teachers and colleagues actually that sort of push me in the right direction and give me the inspiration that I need to carry on for half a decade.
You're now on the opera course. Is that?
That's the one. Yeah.
And who are your teachers? Who's your voice?
So I studied with Richard Barclay Steele.
Yes.
Was a great tenor. And my 2 coaches are Matthew Fletcher and James Bailey.
Oh.
Which are they're kind of my trinity, really. I couldn't really imagine studying here without any of the 3 of them.
And where do you see? I mean, this is always a purely theoretical question, but it's nice to explore. Where do you see your career? Where do you see your voice ending up? I mean, is it a lyric tenor and will stay that way? What do you want to do? A blend of everything?
Yeah, I think a blend would be really nice. I'm kind of bad in a sense at sticking to one thing, which is sometimes a good quality, not always. But I've sort of had everything in my musical life. I've sung in choirs my whole life, pretty much. I still do it to an extent here. I've done song. I've sung a lot of oratorio as well. That was quite a big part of my musical education. And of course, opera. And even at school, I was playing in the orchestra and I played double bass and a bit of percussion and stuff like that. So it's always been a bit higgledy-piggledy, and I think it would be difficult to imagine it not being.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good, isn't it? Because one feeds off. If you do Lieder and if you do oratorio and if you do opera, one discipline feeds off the other. And
it's all about the balance, I think. I think you can't really be great at any of these aspects without being at least good at all of them.
I think that's a fair comment. And you've got to be good at all of them next week.
Apparently
that's what they say. Let's look at the semi-final. And I don't think, from what you've said, it's an entire surprise that you're starting with Bach, but you are an aria from Nun kommt der Heiden Heiland. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, it's actually one of my sort of the favorite bits of Bach I've come across. I mean, we have the cantata and Bach European series here, which has also been a very big part of my life here.
Yeah.
With people like Ian Ledingham and Hera Vega coming in, Trevor Pinnock and John Butt, we've kind of had the lot really. But I came across it last year. We did the whole cantata about this time last year as the end of concert, and Ian came to me and said, "I've got this really fun aria, can we come and have a look at it?" And I thought, yeah, that'd be nice. And I actually looked up the wrong one. There's 2 Nun kommt der Highlands. And he sort of said, yeah, it's from that cantata, just have a listen and then come sing it to me tomorrow. And I listened to the wrong one, which is about half the length, and nowhere near as fiendish. And I thought, yeah, this will be fun. And then he came with the music, and I thought, oh no. But it's so much, it's a lot of fun to sing, and I love. It's one of those simple. I mean, it's like 2 sentences of text, I think.
Which are? Tell us what the 2 sentences of text are.
Well, it's just looking at. It's just saying, because it's about the nativity. It's a Advent one. It's the anticipation. It's saying just be in wonder at the secret that I'm telling you, which is that this heavenly magic is coming down to us, for us.
And does Bach give you anywhere to breathe in this? I mean, you know, he's renowned for never giving anybody any time to breathe.
It depends how fast it goes. But no, not really. I mean, that's kind of down to Unji and I. But I don't think, I don't know who sang it the first time. They must have been superhuman. I would have loved to have met some of the singers that he had, because they must have just had.
They've been fascinating.
They must have known something that we don't.
Circular breathing, I think, probably, Magnus.
Yeah,
you know,
that'd be
yeah.
Trick.
Anyway, from Bach to quite a distance, from Bach to Henze and one of the Orden songs.
Yes. Henze. That was a tricky one. This was this actually came from Unji, who'll be playing with me.
Yes.
I didn't know these songs before, and we kind of thought, because I put in the Stravinsky because it's a fun role, and the libretto is half written by Alden. And she came with these, and I thought, oh, what are these? These are fairly terrifying. We had to play, and this was the one that stuck because I thought it sort of reflected along with the Stravinsky as well, in a sense. Quite a heavy way, you know, kind of feeling that you can't honestly go on to what you want to do, and having to sort of having difficulty making your way.
So we don't get too confused. Let's just deal with the Henze. So it's the one called Rimbaud. Is it about the poet?
Yes, I think so.
Sort of.
Auden's always a tricky one, and it's actually I think it's the first setting of Auden I've sung that's not been by Britten.
Right.
And having that kind of sense of having to be dishonest about yourself in order to make something of yourself, I think.
Yes.
Which I don't think is something I can wholly relate to, but I try to. Well, you know, for the sake of the song.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, as you've mentioned, you've got Tom's kind of credo, if you like. Here I stand from Stravinsky Drake's Progress. I mean, it's a great number, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. It's a lot of fun, and I love his ambition. The poor guy. I mean,
all goes slightly.
Yeah, it doesn't go wholly well for him, but you know, I do admire his sort of that. I do relate to, just kind of wanting to go out into the world and
take it by storm.
Punch a hole through it, but not quite having the money to do so. That's always the attention's always good.
That's lovely. And the final number in your semis program is a Duparc song, Fidile.
It is. Yes,
glorious.
It is. Yeah, it's great. And I think that's, to be perfectly honest, the main reason I put it down. Uj and I have worked together a lot. And this is actually the first Duparc song I learned a few years ago. And we just really enjoyed doing it together. We enjoyed playing it together. And I just thought it'd be a nice exposition of ours.
Lovely.
It's one of my favorite songs. So it just felt nice to end on that.
Yeah, it's a great semi-final. Bach, Henze, Stravinsky, Duparc. Yeah, what's not to like? Lovely. So the final program, Magnus, your final program begins with Ferrando getting a little bit worked up in Mozart's Così.
Yeah, it does. I feel sorry. I mean, we did the opera here last year, and I always found this a difficult part because you're always very tired, and I feel like that's good. Because I think Ferrando is very tired at this point.
Yes.
And I thought it would be a bit more fun because I almost sang an aria.
Which is a far more lyrical aria.
Lyrical, it's beautiful, it's tuneful. Well, not that this isn't tuneful, almost that's tuneful, but you know.
But this has got a lot more energy.
It's got a lot more in it, yeah. And I kind of wanted to move away. I always feel like there's a bit of a trope about Mozart tenors.
Yes.
Being sort of nice and a bit boring. Whereas this shows a lot of very real emotions and a lot of very relatable emotions. And it shows him as a real person, I think. A lot of moments in that opera are kind of taken out of perspective. But I think that's for Ferrando is the key point for him, I think.
Absolutely. And I think from Mozart to go to Richard Strauss is always a nice combination. It's a very good, it's a very good, Richard Strauss being, so enamored of Mozart, and it just makes sense, doesn't it? Heimliche Aufforderung. How would you translate Heimliche Aufforderung?
Oh, well, great hope. Yeah, I like the hope, but Forderung. Yeah, it's a,
well, the Heimliche bit is the secret bit, isn't it? It's a secret.
Yeah, it's the secret. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's our secret. I think.
Yeah. What's the emotion behind it?
I always think it feels a bit kind of naughty. It's that sort of that feeling when you're at school when you're getting away with something that you shouldn't do.
That's
which,
lovely.
Yeah. A lot of fun, and I think especially in today's world, this whole poem is means a lot to a lot of people.
Right.
Let's get away from the norms of society and be the people we want to be and do the things that we want to do that are important to us, whether they like it or not.
Who's the poet, Magnus?
Who's the poet? It's John, isn't it? McCleary, yes?
You tell me. You're the one who's singing it.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's the same as Morgan, right? It's the same opus.
Yes.
As
I say, I'm being Joe Public here. You're singing it, so you need to tell me. But yes, okay. John Henry MacLeod, would we think? Something?
That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Having a complete mind blank.
That's all right. You're allowed. And then after the Strauss, we've got two Lily Boulanger pieces. It's wonderful that
John Henry
Mackay. Very good.
God. Yes.
All right. John Henry Mackay. Okay. So after Richard Strauss, we go to two pieces by Lily Boulanger, who is just such a wonderful and such short-lived.
Oh yeah, I love, and there are so many emotions I put towards Lily because it's just such good music, and I just wish there was so much more of it.
Well, don't we all? But she only made it till 24, so yeah.
Yeah.
And what are the two pieces that you're singing?
So the fourth and fifth songs.
Yeah.
From her song cycle Clairière dans le ciel.
Yeah.
Gleams in the Sky, which are all poems by Francis Jam.
Mm-hmm.
They're quite hard to crack into, but I love them. And again, this is another one from Inji. She kind of got me into my love of Boulanger. I actually came across Boulanger for the first time a few years ago in the Three Choirs Festival. They did one of her big psalm settings, De Fond de la Vigne,
fantastic. Yeah.
Which is a sort of page-long little tenor solo from kind of far off, which was fun. I thought, that was fun, but when you've obviously couldn't quite engage with it on the same level, and then for her kind of project for her diploma last year, she flung all these songs at me, and I thought, 13 songs, that'll be all right, and it's actually about this. There's about 45 minutes worth of music.
Just keep. Yes, I was going to say, just keep focused on what people are going to hear, because otherwise we could talk about the entire repertoire. You've got Un Poète disait and Au pied de mon lit, at the foot of my bed.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So then after that we go to Britain and one of the John Donne Holy Sonnets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I thought that was kind of linked with the Boulanger, because it's all about the poet speaking and that link with heavenly images and things. So I thought that would go perfectly with Mr. John Donne.
Yes.
Lovely. It seemed like a nice, and Britain's always been a big part of what I do here, I think. Yeah. I don't quite know when it happened, but there was sort of a moment where I just knew that this is a composer that I'd love to see. It's never easy, but
No.
I think he is basically the best song singer that we have.
Yeah. No,
At least from this, you know.
And once you're in the Britain groove, it just seems so right.
You can't get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. You can't. No, but you do get out of it, and your final number in the final is some Rachmaninoff.
It is, which again, it's similar to Fidelio. This is another one that kind of we love playing together because you can't. It's one of those. Well, you know, it's all collab, but it's one of those pieces where it very much shows us both off, I think.
Yeah.
Or at least if we try.
And it's called Dreams, and
it's called Dreams.
What sort of dreams?
The kind of the ones that come to you when you need them, I think, is how I read it. Which I feel like in the past 18 months, lots of us have had.
Yes.
It's the dreams that come to you in the night that make you feel better. The ones that show your hopes and take away the fears.
Lovely thing to end with, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of what I hoped anyway.
It's a great program. It'll be a great program. I'll look forward to seeing you next Friday and Sunday, live as live.
Next Friday.
Can be. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed, Magnus, for doing that. That's splendid.